Boba Fett, a name whispered across the galaxy, feared, respected, and wrapped in mystery. But who is the man behind the iconic helmet, the legend forged in fire and betrayal? This is the story of Boba Fett, the son, the hunter, and the survivor. Years before the Clone Wars began, the Galactic Republic was unknowingly manipulated into creating a secret army. Acting on false pretenses and Sith deception, Jedi Master Sifo Dyas commissioned the Clone Army, funded and orchestrated behind the scenes by Darth Sidious. The clones were bred on Kamino from a single genetic source, Jango Fett, the galaxy's most notorious bounty hunter. As part of his payment, Jango requested one unaltered clone, no accelerated aging, no behavioral modifications. A pure copy, a son. Designated Alpha, known to the galaxy as Boba Fett, he was not crafted for war like his brothers. He was raised as a son, not programmed as a soldier. Boba's earliest memories are marked by violence. When Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi arrived on Kamino to investigate the clone army, Boba watched closely as tension simmered between the Jedi and his father. That tension erupted when Obi-Wan confronted them directly, leading to a fierce battle on Kamino's rain-lashed landing platforms. Boba wasn't just a bystander. From the cockpit of the Slave One, he fired on Kenobi, standing with his father without hesitation. After their escape, Boba discovered that Obi-Wan had planted a tracking device on their ship. It wasn't just that moment, it was everything. The suspicion, the intrusion, the fight, the chase. To Boba, the message was clear. The Jedi weren't to be trusted. That belief would be carved into something far deeper on Geonosis. There, in the heart of a massive battle between the Jedi and the Separatist droid army, Boba stood at the edge of chaos and watched his world fall apart. In a brutal duel, Jedi Master Mace Windu decapitated Jango Fett in front of him. One instant, his father was the most feared man in the galaxy. The next, he was gone, his helmet hitting the dirt, still smoking. It wasn't just a personal loss, it was a defining moment, the end of innocence, a brutal lesson in how the galaxy truly worked. From that day forward, Boba Fett wasn't just the clone son of a bounty hunter. He was a boy with no father, no future, only a name and a vendetta. Alone but determined, Boba began his journey through the criminal underworld. Still just a child, he fell in with a ruthless crew of bounty hunters, including Aura Singh, Bosk, and Castus, figures who saw him less as a boy and more as a tool. But Boba had a goal: vengeance. With guidance from Aura Singh, Boba orchestrated a plan to kill Mace Windu, the Jedi responsible for his father's death. Disguised as a clone cadet aboard a Republic cruiser, he planted explosives in an attempt to assassinate Windu. The blast damaged the ship but failed to kill its target. Undeterred, Boba set a second trap, luring Windu and Anakin Skywalker into a derelict vessel rigged to explode. Again, the plan fell short. The Jedi survived, and Boba was eventually captured by Republic forces. But even in failure, a reputation was forming. These weren't petty crimes. These were bold, coordinated strikes against one of the most powerful Jedi in the galaxy, carried out by a boy. He was still young, but the war was shaping him quickly. Each job he took with Aura's crew sharpened his instincts. Each betrayal and moral compromise hardened his resolve. Still, there were cracks, moments when Boba hesitated, when he questioned how far he was willing to go. But in a galaxy at war, there was no room for doubt. Boba Fett was growing into a weapon of his own making. As the Republic fell and the Empire rose, Boba Fett matured into one of the most effective bounty hunters in the galaxy. The chaos of the transition created opportunity. The Jedi were hunted, old allegiances dissolved, and credits flowed freely to those willing to do the dirty work of the new regime. Boba operated independently, never tied to one syndicate or master, taking contracts from the Hutts, Black Sun, the Pike Syndicate, and even the newly formed Galactic Empire. He earned a reputation for cold precision and relentless pursuit. No mission was too dangerous, no target too well guarded. If Boba Fett was on your trail, your days were numbered. It was during this period that Boba had a brief but notable encounter with a young Luke Skywalker. The clash occurred on Tatooine, inside the abandoned hut of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Luke had returned there, searching for answers. Instead, he found Fett. Tasked with tracking a valuable target, Boba confronted the farm boy, but despite his skill, Luke escaped. The fight was short, but telling. Boba, already an elite hunter. Luke, still inexperienced, but dangerous. By the time of the Galactic Civil War, Boba Fett had become the go-to hunter for the Empire. In Cloud City, he captured Han Solo and ensured he was delivered, frozen in carbonite, to Jabba the Hutt. Cold, calculated, precise. Boba's reputation was now galactic, but even legends fall. During the chaotic rescue mission at Jabba's palace, Boba Fett was knocked into the Sarlacc pit, a gruesome fate that few survived. For years, he was presumed dead, swallowed by the sands of Tatooine and the stories of others. Boba Fett didn't die. He clawed his way out of the Sarlacc, scarred and broken. Rescued by Tusken raiders, he was given no special treatment. Through hardship and humility, he earned their respect and adopted their ways. Over time, he lived among the Tusken raiders, not as a conqueror, but as one of them. Through pain, tradition, and respect, he rebuilt himself. But something was missing: his armor, his identity. That armor had passed hands, from Jawas to Cobb Vanth, a local marshal who wore it as a symbol of protection. It eventually came into the possession of Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, who believed it was his by creed. But Boba wanted it back. He tracked Din across Tython, arriving just as Grogu was reaching out through the Force. With Fennec Shand at his side, whose life he had saved, Boba confronted Din, not with violence, but with an offer. Return the armor, and no blood would be spilled. When the Dark Troopers attacked and Grogu was taken, Boba kept his word. He donned his reclaimed armor for the first time in years, and fought alongside Din, not for money, but out of principle. This was no longer the Boba Fett who lived for contracts and credits. This was a man shaped by loss, survival, and rebirth. Boba Fett returned to Tatooine, not as a conqueror, but as a man changed. Scarred by the Sarlacc, hardened by survival, and humbled by his time with the Tusken Raiders, he no longer craved chaos or credits. He sought purpose. He walked into Jabba the Hutt's former palace, executed Bib Fortuna, and claimed the throne. But Boba didn't want to rule like a crime lord. He wanted to lead with respect, not fear. Sitting on the throne of a dead Hutt, Boba set out to remake the criminal underworld from the inside out. But the underworld didn't want to change. Rival gangs laughed at the idea of a bounty hunter playing ruler. The Pike Syndicate saw his rise as a threat to their spice-running empire. Assassins came in the night. Even his own allies questioned his restraint. But Boba stood firm. With Fennec Shand at his side, he built a new kind of family, a cybernetic street gang, an aging warrior from Mos Pelgo, the deadly Wookiee gladiator Black Chrysantan. Not a syndicate, a tribe. Loyalty over fear, purpose over profit. As the war with the Pikes escalated, Boba was forced to confront not just his enemies, but his own past. One of those ghosts came in the form of Cad Bane, his former mentor, now his enemy. Bane was everything Boba used to be: cold, ruthless, transactional. Their duel in the streets of Mos Espa was brutal and symbolic. With his Gaffi stick and Tusken-hardened resolve, Boba struck Bane down, not just to win, but to leave behind the man he once was. And when the final battle came, pulling in old allies like Din Djarin and even Grogu, Boba made his stand, not as a bounty hunter, but as a daimyo who fought for his people. The boy who lost his father, the man who survived the Sarlacc, had become something else entirely: a leader. He didn't need to be feared. He chose to be respected.